Hello, everyone. Hello, boys and girls. Can I change this a little? I'm going to just set it. Hello. It's a pleasure. Welcome to the first episode, or perhaps the only episode. I have no idea. Of City After Dark. It is 10 p.m. Eastern. I thought it would be a good time. You know, I'm so often a morning person, a Sunday morning person. I'd like to show you guys what I do in the evening, in the wee hours when the sun goes down and the mood is dark and upon us. And I thought we could talk about a different nature of things, a wide variety of things that we can talk about. We can talk about love. We can talk about lust, other debauchery, intimate, personal topics. We can really set the mood here. And many people have joined us already. Hello to you all. Hello, George. He said, after dark, you say. I wonder if hijinks will ensue. Probably not. I'm keeping it very simple here. As you can see on my new set, this is the wonderful Al Lewis is here, Grandpa Munster. And this is a prized possession, a wonderful photograph I was gifted, Madeline Kahn and Grover. And I have my kimono on, which I put on every night, and a cigar, which I don't light. I don't smoke them. I just hold them. I think it helps me talk. And this is a drink I have every night before I go to bed. It's called a Limericks Lake. And it is a combination of lemon, water, and then you pour it into a tall glass. So it's delightful. Here's to you, and welcome to City After Dark. Feel free to ask all the things you want. With the mood lighting, it's so dark. Well, yes, it is. I hope everyone can hear me. Okay, if this is working, please let me know. I do have something I would like to, a question I would like to open with. Somebody already wrote a question yesterday. Her name is Michelle, and she's sweet enough to ask, should you be on lockdown while you're going through a broken heart? How will you distract yourself? Lord, I cannot shake this breakup. I'm not one to let this type of thing eat me. I move onward and upward pretty quickly. I'm usually not the one who sucks about, she's sulking about how much she misses him. She really misses this fella who broke her heart. So she needs suggestions. First, my first suggestion would be to hydrate. Have yourself a nice Limericks Lake. It's very important. Sleep, eat, exercise, hydrate. There should be no excuses. Those should be consistent no matter what. No matter what you're doing. Even if it's your grandmother's funeral, you should still find time to at least hydrate, because you're going to feel bad. But if you don't drink, you're going to feel worse, because you're going to have very rough stools. Secondly, you got to look back on it, and you got to realize that we're inherently selfish human beings. And everything we think about other people is just a reflection of ourselves. And you don't miss him. You miss who you were when you were in that relationship. And I have news for you. You can be that person whenever you want. You are in control, Michelle. So think back on the kind of person you were in that relationship. And I have news for you. It certainly does not depend on that person. You already said he was not a good person. So my advice to you would be to think back there and then choose to be that person and practice that in small ways every day and every way. Jonathan Santos says, RJ might mess around and hook some people up during this live show. Certainly, if you have a dating profile you want me to read, if you want me to sell you, just type it in there and I'll read it for you. If you have any dating questions, I'd be happy to give you advice. Nicholas said, the promo video he posted was amazing. I posted on Monday. You can go check it out, but not now. We're talking about debauchery. Tyler Hamill said, what do you call little RJ? Oh, wow. I call little RJ Ernest Borgnine, because in many ways I long for Ethel Merman. Body Slammer says, what is your feeling on romance amongst wrestlers? You know, a lot of people say don't date a wrestler, and that goes for wrestlers too. Wrestlers should not be dating other wrestlers. Wrestlers should not be dating anyone because they themselves are wrestlers. I will just say, to me, I always heard like cocaine is something that amplifies your personality. If you're a nervous person, cocaine will make you more nervous. If you're a confident person, cocaine will make you cocky. So to me, I think being in the wrestling business, wrestling seems to amplify your personality in the same way. So I think if you're a bad person, if you're perhaps an adulterous person, I feel like that would exist in some form, whether you're in the wrestling business or not. So I don't really believe this don't date a wrestler thing is really true. You should be cognizant of the ramifications. You have to spend time with people in a natural way, being on the road, hotels, and then you're away from people. You're either with them too much or you're with them not enough. It's a tremendous balance, but I believe if you have openness up front and honesty and communication and reasonable expectations, and that's to say don't have any expectations at all, I think it will work to your advantage. Next question. Jinjin said, what a lovely evening outfit. Good evening. Good evening to you, Jinjin. This was a kimono gifted to me by a young man named David Arquette. I guess he didn't have any use for it anymore. I don't think his wife wants him having it on around the house. So she said, please don't wear this anymore. And he gifted it to me. It's incredibly sweet of him. QD21 said, RJ, during this quarantine, how many times have you been laid? Well, I can count it on my hand because my hand is the only thing that's been doing any work. When you are in quarantine, you quarantine. With this spreading of disease, there is nothing more disgusting than sleeping with someone right now under these circumstances. It's so reckless. It is so very, even if you live with a person every day of your life, they go out to the store, they come back, you cannot sleep with them. That's disgusting. We're all taking kind of a vow of abstinence from other people right now for the health of the world. Nails in New York said, good evening. So sultry. They say, hear me loud and clear. Delana said, this is the only show with Limericks. This, of course, is a Limericks lake. Slightly different, a little version. Tabby Lavalamp said, you can't spell sophistication without city. Okay. Ty said, how do you feel about a significant other stealing your pictures and making a shrine? A little creepy, I guess. But I guess if you're a person who takes beautiful, wonderful pictures, if you have a pronounced jawline, it's very sweet for that person, the other significant other, to wake up without you in the morning and you are still the first thing that they see. I think it's one of those things that freaks me out in the beginning, but over time, if they turn out to be a nice, considerate person and not a psycho, creeper, stalker person, I think it's incredibly sweet. And I say you should go to that altar when you have the chance and you should praise yourself. Get on your knees and say, I'm thankful for who I am too. Ooh, this is a fun question from Delana. I love my girlfriend very much. We've been together for 5 years. I couldn't be happier. She takes care of me, supports my dreams, and adores me, but I only want to have sex with Wesley Crusher. Well, you know what? Certain men have certain needs, and you should have really been upfront about that. It's kind of rude to have sex with her for 4 years and then be like, Wesley Crusher. So, your new partner, because this woman will break up with you because she has to, because you can't compete with Wesley. You know what I mean? So maybe she could be more of an advisor and an assistant to your life out of love and take a vow of chastity. Jonathan Santos said, the old Helga Pataki, I'll say. Bill said, hey, RJ and the room. Nils New York said, did you get to keep the pink kimono you wore on Nobodies? No, you know what? When I was on the Nobodies watching wrestling show, I was given a pink kimono to wear by Ariel Italic, and a lot of women came courting after me after they saw me in this wonderful kimono, but Ariel wouldn't give it to me. It's hers. She's proud of it, no matter how good I look, and I look fantastic in it. Now I have this one. It's a little more subdued. It's a little more mature. Nevertheless, I will get that pink one back one day. Kiana says, God, yes, and I say, God, yes to you, Kiana. J. Aaron Poole said, what's the most debaucherous movie from the 70s? That is a wonderful, wonderful, interesting question. I would say, and debauchery, it doesn't even have to be in a nice way. It's just outside the norms. I would say Last House on the Left is very extreme. And I Spit on Your Grave is also a lot. Those movies are like, whoa. Also, Rosemary's Baby. And I know I'm just listing a bunch of horror movies, but what can I say? What's a sexy movie from the 70s? I always thought Saturday Night Fever was very sexy. Sometimes you can have too much actual sex. I feel like the dancing was even more debaucherous than the regular sex. Kentucky Fried Movie. There you go. That's my most debaucherous movie. There's a lovely tribute from Bill Alexander. Nice kimono. Just for that, you deserve a little praise. Bill, thank you, and welcome to After Dark. It's so very, very, very sweet of you. Sean said, hey, RJ, I like a night show. I'm always late to the morning ones. Well, I'm trying to hit all the demos. Wednesday's kind of in the middle of the week, and we all certainly have the time. Ashley says, yes, city and a kimono. So if you are just joining us, I'm drinking a Limericks Lake. I'm having a cigar, which I do not light. I have a kimono gifted by the wonderful David Arquette, and I have a nice picture of Al Lewis. And I have a wonderful picture of Madeline Kahn courting Grover. Look it up. Later, I'll maybe post it. You can ask for the link. I'll give it to you. Who's your favorite non-Weber Broadway composer? I like Sondheim. I don't know how you don't go Sondheim. I mean, Gilbert and Sullivan are a little verbose, but and I like the Gershwins. But it's definitely Sondheim for me by a landslide. Jonathan Santos said, what would you say is the game plan to guaranteed coital activities? This is my theory, is when you show up with the intent of wanting something, that means you've hard set expectations. That's a wrong way to go about business. Be in the moment. It's nothing wrong with wanting things to happen, but when you gun for them, you frighten people, and it doesn't even turn out well for you, and you're not yourself. You're on the offensive, and it makes no sense, and it's weird. So I just say you just relax, and you let it come. And if it comes, it comes, and if it does not, it does not. EO said, which of your shirts should I get from Pro Wrestling Tees during the sale? There is a ProWrestlingTees.com/RJ City sale tomorrow. Just can't have swears. I like the one that says wrestling starring RJ City. And there's another one that says, and then there's God. Right? Yeah, and then there's God. And it's very sweet. I think you'll like either of those. Delana said, what did I miss here? Delana said, why it's got to be Wesley Crusher and not Wesley Crush him? It's another good question. Ty said, pink looks good on me. Thank you. Tabby said, what's the best movie musical from the 21st century? Honestly, the remake of Hairspray is not that bad. I got to say that. It's not that bad at all. I think John Travolta was finally comfortable in his own skin. Hoping the kimono matches the underwear, says SM. You'll find out on Sunday. So Karia says, have you ever read fan fiction starring yourself? Yes, a bunch. People wrote a lot when I was Gildar on Splat-A-Lot. But they were all kids, so it wasn't like erotic stuff. It was just like us hanging out in the house and like cleaning our clothes and getting into arguments. But no, I have. There's been way worse ones too. And I've read them and I've been fascinated. It doesn't destroy me. But I take an interest. I haven't used it, if that's what you're asking. Glendon Harden just sent a lovely tribute, and that's so sweet. And I thank you. And if you want to do that, there's a button at the bottom. Glendon said this is finally at an hour where I'm awake, where I'm happy to hit you where you need it most, and on the rear of the evening. That is so very sweet of you. I appreciate that. Niels in New York said, what's a good movie to pretend to watch when you want us to do someone? So this is my theory, is that you can't watch a good movie when you want to make a move. It's too engrossing. If you put on The King of Comedy, if you put on Oh, Ben-Hur, it's too engrossing. Put on a bad movie, preferably starring Vin Diesel. That guy is a lock for a date movie. Any of those Fast and the Furious, The Pacifier, Triple X, anything like that, and you are in the clear. Ty said Wednesday is kind of in the middle of the week. Well, I mean, Wednesday night is kind of in the middle of like my Sunday. Don't look into the logistics of this, please. Kevin Comstock says, other than Dolly Parton stealing your wonderful idea of reading bedtime stories, do you enjoy her music or acting? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I desperately want to go to Dollywood. Now I'm going to go there and spit on the ground because she's taken away a tremendous source of income for me. Tabby Lava Lamp sent another lovely golden tribute. And I thank you. That's so sweet of you. Andrew Vile says, how does a wrestler wrestle during a global pandemic if a wrestler must wrestle with oneself? I'm doing it right now. I decided to do it in front of the camera and bare my soul. So if anyone has any questions about my personal life, I'd be happy to answer those too. Because you know what? Why not? Delana says, why does my girlfriend take so much longer brushing her teeth Sundays during RJ makes coffee in his underwear as opposed to any other day? You know what? Don't question it. You should just be thankful that she does, and she probably flosses too, because I mention it a lot on the show. And when you guys are making out, you can feel how healthy her gums are. And you should say, damn, that RJ is a good person. He's spreading the love around. Niels in New York said, is that a fancy cigar? Well, I believe all cigars are kind of fancy. If you hold them like this, and every time you go to put it to your mouth like you're going to light it, you're so caught up in what you're thinking, you just make another point. That's the issue. That's the issue we're dealing with today. And that's what these kids don't understand. So Biden's out. No, Bernie's out. Oh, it doesn't matter. Nevertheless, let's move on. Delana said, when are we going to see some on-screen romance between you and David? That's a great question. You know what? He gave you this kimono It's as close as we almost had a New Year's kiss because we wrestled on New Year's. You know what? Let me put it like this. There is a moment in his documentary, which is coming out at some point, where my lips do touch his face, but you'll have to watch it to find out when and how. Raquel Durango said, hi, RJ, Rocky here. You look fabulous. Oh, shh. I just want to say, keep up being honest and the marvelous work. The marvelous work is in being honest. May we all be this honest. If you're just joining us, welcome to City After Dark. I did have a book here that I want to crack open, but you're asking so many questions. I'm so interested. Nails in New York said, who are the pictures behind you? So the picture up top is a wonderful Al Lewis. He played Grandpa Munster on the Munsters. And the picture below it is a wonderful Madeline Kahn, who is in Oh My, Young Frankenstein, and History of the World, and things of that nature, and was also on Sesame Street. And that's her here on Sesame Street with a little furry fella named Grover. Isn't that very sweet? Those are the pictures. Timbaland advertises on City After Dark. No one's advertising here so far, but if you want to pay me to read something, I certainly will. Jonathan Santos says, since this is the 20th year since Ready to Rumble came out, has David pitched you on a remake starring you and him? Well, I guess, yes, we have, essentially, and nobody's bought it, which tells you how successful the first one is. Bill Alexander said, any pictures of Marty Feldman to go along with Madeline Kahn? They appeared together in Young Frankenstein. I don't have the Feldman prints are coming in. There's been a delay with the quarantine and the whole thing. J. Aaron Poole said, have you ever told a sex partner to do the moves? Yeah, sometimes you just got to do it. You know, keep your head down, do it. Don't get fancy. Don't play mind games. It's not that hard. It's not that difficult. Very straightforward to get the job done. Clarissa Najera sent a lovely commercial tribute, and it's golden, and that's incredibly sweet of you. Thank you. Barton Grennan said, is the, hey, what are you, buddy, a piece of shit or something shirt in reference to a specific promo or anything? I'm going to buy it tomorrow, but I don't want to walk around like an ignorant piece of shit. Well, I said it in response to wrestlers who come up with these catchphrases. You know, there was what, and there was yes, and then everyone else tried to have a one-word catchphrase, and it's so cheap, and it's so lazy. They have nothing behind it. They just want the audience to repeat along like parrots. So I thought, you know what? What is the worst, least catchy catchphrase I can think of? Let me get that over. And now you're buying the shirt. So you've proven my point. So thank you, young man. Katie M said, how many kimonos do you own? Just this one, and it's not even mine. Tabby Lavalam said, best comedian with a cigar, Milton Berle or George Burns? Oh, Milton Berle by far. George was clinging to Gracie Allen for dear life. Bill Alexander said, since there are so many cinematic wrestling matches going on, who from the golden era of movies would you add to those matches? Oh, Rudy Valentino. Fatty Arbuckle would have been a good wrestler too. You know who would have been a fantastic bumper? Buster Keaton. I'm dead serious when I say that. You know who named Buster Keaton? Harry Houdini. He saw him when he was a young child performer. Buster used to perform with his parents, and it was very physical act, and he said that kid's a real Buster. I'm not joking. QD21 says, weird for my boyfriend to want me to penetrate him digitally in the behind after quarantine. Absolutely not. He's got it. You might as well use it. If you love him, you're going to spend the rest of your life with him. You might as well be open to everything, including his openings. You know, don't get me wrong, wash before and after. But in the in-between time and in the meantime, take a stab. Kevin says, boy, I sure hope you're going okay with anxiety and such during the quarantine. You know what's amazing is that some of the anxiety lifts because the bad stuff is already happening, so I don't have to worry about it happening. If anyone else has anxiety and has felt kind of a little better during this, I mean, worried, but worried about the known, so it's a little easier, please let me know, because I feel like this is an actual thing that's happening. Katie said, are you going to like that cigar? Absolutely not. Delana said, when's the last time you cried during sex? 3.5 weeks ago. Nails New York said, what's the best way to ask my man to wear a kimono and get him to ask me if I'm a piece of shit or something without him thinking I've got an RJ fetish? Just tell him it's breathable fabric and it's really good for his skin after he shaves. And then just keep, and maybe an altar of me around the house, and he'll get the hint eventually. From behind, he should be interested in me too. Angel Vile said, you have the best taste in comedians. Madeline B, although I really wouldn't call them comedians in the truest sense. I'd say they're, comedic actresses. I'll come to your show wearing my B. Arthur t-shirt. We'll raise a glass to the goddess of the deadpan retort, Anne Maud. And I think they were such good comedians because they were such good actresses. B is a great straight person, and she's really the glue that holds it together. Nelson York said, who's the sexiest woman to smoke a cigar? That was fantastic. Toady Fields. Katie said Milton Berle or Milton Bradley. I've played with both, and Milton's more fun. Bigger piece. Nails New York said, there's an awesome promo highlight reel on Archie's channel. If you want to go see the piece of shit one, yes, you can see that. S&M said, Friends or Seinfeld? Seinfeld by a landslide. Not only do I think Seinfeld is a better show, I just don't even think Friends is a good show. It's a long story. It has nothing to do with Courtney Cox making me a bad cappuccino. That's totally unrelated. Tabby Lavalam said, Mary Tyler Moore or Rhoda? As a person, I would say Rhoda. I had a gigantic crush on her. As a show, Mary Tyler Moore. Luke said, absolutely. That is how my anxiety works too. And another friend of mine as well. We say we operate on high anxiety level normally, and the world just caught up with us. There is something that is comforting about the known being bad, so you don't have to worry. There's no fear of the unknown because we're too busy dealing with the known. Fascinating. Aaron said, agree about the anxiety. I haven't had space to fixate on my regular stuff. Isn't this an odd blessing? When you're forced to focus on the now, that crippling anxiety goes away. And it's something that we should remember when we come out of this, if we ever do. Nils New York said, how long into a relationship should you wait until you go public? Also, does Jessamine have a kimono? To my knowledge, she does not own a kimono, nor have I asked. I don't poke around people's closets. Their kimonos are their own business. As for how long you should wait to go public, that's entirely up to you. You can go public in your own way. You can be just seen together, talk together. It's fine. You don't have to make an announcement. It's not an engagement. Different rules for different people. I give it at least a couple months to make sure everything's sticking okay. But other than that, it's entirely up to you. Barton says, I feel a little less anxious. And this is going to sound bad because it's, at least if we're screwed, we're all kind of screwed now. Usually I'm just anxious about messing life up. There's this, you also lose that sense of, oh, woe is me, because woe is everybody right now. And it's nice to feel together in something, as bad as it is. GC Joni said, you must be a reincarnation of someone who died in the early 1900s. We figure out that I'm about 64 years old. Andrew says, I've lived with anxiety my whole life. It's a tricky game, but I've been doing great these days. I'm a natural at isolation when I need to be or be. Cheers to the introverts. You can also be anxiety-ridden and extroverted too, nevertheless. Ashley said, I didn't even know who you were till I went to one of your shows in Lockport with my husband and loved your skit. She called the match I had a skit, and that's totally fine with me. Thank you, Ashley. Jonathan said, RJ has achieved godhood for his Seinfeld take. Thank you. Nails, I love on Seinfeld where they come up with a new word and then they just use it for the next 20 pages. Nails New York said, I stay home and avoid everyone, so it's nice to see everyone feels the same as me now. Sean said, do you write your promos out or do you cut them off the top of your head, or maybe some combination of the two? Some combination of the two. I don't really write them out unless there's specific wording or a specific thing I really need to nail that I'll need to look at on paper and perhaps organize. Sometimes I'll go to write it and I'll start typing and I'll go, no, I have this. And then I'll just do it in my head. And those are for the tape promos. The live promos are always off the top of my head because it's more of a dialogue with the audience and you want to give them room. And I want the room to talk back and I want the room to listen. So I can write them. I just think it's better, a little more natural feeling the other way. Jonathan said, no lie, yoga is great for anxiety. Yoga Master on PS4 has been a godsend. Very interesting. Spot Center said, Gomer Pyle or Goober? I got to go with Jim Neighbors because he was just a far, far better singer. Ashley said, now joking periodically, walk around the house going city. What? And woke up last Sunday to you singing Sesame Street. Well, I'll be singing again Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. Prepare your requests. Delana said, what has having David Arquette in your life cost you? Oh, my career and my dignity. You know how much farther along I would be had not that man interjected himself, tweeted himself into my life? Easy Street said, what's your favorite Home Improvement character? I liked Marty, Tim's brother. I thought he was a really cool guy. Spot Center said, who is your favorite Chrissy replacement on Three's Company? Cindy, Terry, or other? Don Knotts. Taxica Calf X said, you and Solis's animation series honestly sort of gives off Mr. Peabody vibes, like RJ going back in time and witnessing and changing wrestling history. They're on my channel. I'm uploading probably this weekend or next week. I'll upload the Hogan one to YouTube. You will love it. And they're working on a brand new one, but I won't say of whom. Nails New York said, have you ever tagged with Dalton Castle? I love you together. We've only wrestled each other. We've wrestled each other in tag matches too. But we've tag teamed only outside of the ring. Maybe one day. D said Dick York or Dick Sargent? I got to go with Dick York. You got to go with the first one. You know what I mean? Oh, Bill, another loving tribute from Bill. For the next show, you'll have to mix your best drink like you do when you make coffee. This is it. It's the Limericks like, my friend. Cheers to you and your wonderful support. 9:30 a.m. Eastern, says Tabby, is 7:30 a.m. here. No wonder I always miss that live. That's fair. Jeff said, can you say goodnight to Jackson? Do you have a recommendation for a bedtime story for him? Kind of. I can't remember how old Jackson is, but he's probably too young for this. I have a book of dirty limericks here, and I'm going to read one. Okay. This is a good one. You ready for this one? Maybe cover Jackson's ears. Said a busy young gal known as Mabel, who at effing was willing and able. So she was good at fornication. It's a pity to waste all that juicy white paste, so she served it in bowls at the table. Good night, Jackson. Brandon said, what's the difference between a good soldier and a talented soldier sexually? I guess it depends on what the other person is receiving. You have to be open to what the other person wants. You have to listen to their needs. You have to go about your own way, and people either match up or they don't. I think there's only compatibility. Love is not war, I think is the answer I'm trying to say to you. Niels New York said, I'm drinking beer right now and wearing a wrestling t-shirt. I feel so common. Kevin says, Zsa Zsa Gabor or Barbara Eden? Well, I went to Zsa Zsa's husband's birthday party, so I have to go with her. Sean Flagstaff said, can I ask what brand the cigar is? Yeah, like I have any idea. A Fuente. Ta-da. Ty said, I've never seen you wrestle. Still don't believe you're actually a wrestler. I'll tell you something. Here's a little trick. When I wrestle, I don't even wrestle. Niels New York said I should make an espresso martini, not at this hour. I find coffee is great for anxiety, said Dylan. Situations like this lessen my anxiety until I get paranoid and start thinking of conspiracy theories. Katie said, come drinking, Mabel. That was the one and I can always read another one. Jeff said, thanks and good night. Good night, and my apologies to Jackson. Jonathan said, still trying to not watch him wrestle. Ty said, why the F do you own that book? This was gifted to me by my mother, and I think she got it when she was a youngster, so it's an heirloom, and I'm going to read some more out of this. Ashley said, how do you feel about Jeff Hardy? Personally, my favorite. Enough with the face paint. Pick a look and stick with it. The Lazy Apple said, once this quarantine is over, will you be making more epic Bob Ross videos with David Arquette? I would say almost assuredly yes, but I will not enjoy it. Philip said, comfy looking kimono dog. Nails New York said, where's the first place you go when this is all over? I so badly want to go to the gym, but it's probably going to take me a while to get there because I'm going to be freaked out. I would love to go on just a long drive. When this is all fully, totally over, I would love to go antiquing. That would be my first choice. Coffee and antiquing. Phillips, we already did that. Body Slammer said, I've seen RJ wrestle. I even saw him when he was starting out and training. Dear Lord. Nails New York said, do you have pets? I have two wonderful cats, Julia and Sylvia, and you may see them this Sunday, which is Easter Sunday, and it's time they come out. Ty said, yeah, we want to see your pussycats. They're sleeping. It is nearly 10:30. What is wrong with you? Sean said, Arturo Fuente, that's the brand of the cigar that I'm not smoking. I'm just holding for argumentative sake. Good sake, pal. Not that you should smoke it. I won't. I trust you. And trust me. Katie said, you going antiquing at the Waterford Flea Market? No, I like to go to some consignment stores. I like to go to the Kensington Market. Sometimes has good ones. There's a secondhand store in Toronto called the Black Market. It's not really antiques. I like antiques that aren't antiques. They're not 75 years or older. They're like 20 years old max. They're cheaper. Jonathan Santos said, when this is all over, I'm heading up to Canada. Any places you recommend? Yeah, not Toronto. Perhaps in Montreal or Quebec. You could go out east, Stephen, or you could go to Vancouver. You're not missing anything here. Sid said, how did you come to acquire encyclopedic knowledge of just about everything? I gave up a lot. I'm not a functional human being. I'm not good at tying my shoes or riding a bike or cooking food, functioning in the outside world. It's a trade-off. Any human brain has only so much capacity. And this is what I've chosen to do with my life. Niels New York said, a cigar makes a person more sexy. Well, I don't quite know about that. D said, what movies do you watch during the day? You know what I'm going to watch soon? I'm going to watch the Joey Ryan documentary. I'm excited to watch it. And I like to watch documentaries. There's a wonderful BBC documentary on the history of the circus I found fascinating. The Lazy Apple said, I feel lucky I got to see you live wrestle once since finding out about you before the quarantine. Destiny Carnage was wild. And I have no recollection of what I did on that show. Marion said, what's the best sandwich? Reuben sandwich, though it can be very, very pricey in the California area. Tabby said, fly over Alberta if you're visiting Canada, unless you go to Drumheller because the museum is worth it. Stokely, a lovely tribute, a turquoise tribute, and I thank you. And I raise my glass to you. If you are just joining us, this is City After Dark, and so far, so good. Answering your deep personal questions about everything and reading dirty limericks. I'm going to read another one in just 1 second. Nails said, I realized recently how many Canadians I loved. Is that classified as a fetish? Yes. Or just happens to be wrestling fans because the ratio of Canadians to other nationalities, no, it's a fetish. You're a depraved person. What about David Ickel documentary? Ike? Oh, I guess I've never heard of them. Andrew said, thoughts on speaking moistly to others. Only certain people in your life should you invite your moisture upon them. Otherwise, keep it dry. Trust me. Nelson New York said, how do we see the Joey Ryan one? I have no idea. I don't know how the public... I'm going to find out and let you know. It's a very good one. It has limited releases and things of that nature. Neil said, have you watched Ethan's Body Guy Extravaganza cartoon? I was a voice in it, and I was a cartoon drawing in it, and I didn't get paid anything. I had to lend my voice. Why do I need to watch it? To see my work for free? It's embarrassing. It's a fine film, and you should all watch it, and I hope it gets nominated for a SAG Award. Katie said, can you still go to Shopsies and order the Bill Cosby? Probably not. It's probably not what it used to be. Spot Center said, imagine being quarantined with Debbie Downer. Ice Kiwi said, what is that accent? It's South African. Bill said, love Toronto. Been there 6 times. Always something to do there. Best tourist attraction I may have missed? Kensington Market. If you haven't gone, I would say you should go. It's a nice, fun place to walk around and see dusty things that people aren't going to buy. Ashley said, by the way, my husband is Mike the cleaner. Well, get dirty for him so he can clean you. But I'm sorry, I have to do it. I have to do it into my kimono. Have you ever seen, I Think We're Alone Now, the documentary about the 2 Tiffany stalkers? Really good. No, but I will add it to my list. Ty said, are you ever going to get over that Reuben experience? Absolutely not. Not until I get my money back. Carmack said, do you know about the sister version of the Reuben? No. Do tell me. Is Tom Nook a slumlord? Sure. Nails in New York said, who is the most beautiful human on the planet? You are, Nails, to yourself. And I am to myself, and we all should be to ourselves. That's the way it works. Shouldn't be nominating sexiest man alive, 100 most beautiful people, none of that. You are the most beautiful person in your life. And that's the way it should always be. Nicholas said, RJ, what are your thoughts on the Dark Side of the Ring series? You know, I was asked the first season, I was asked if I wanted to play Bret Hart. I can't because I'm in the union, and that was a non-union program. It was not allowed. Second season, I was asked by someone else if I wanted to play Eddie Guerrero. And again, the same answer. I do love it. I love it very much. And I'm looking forward to the one on my boy, Dr. D. David Schultz. I'm reading his book on YouTube very soon. Katie says, was your South African accent acquired from your uncle, Colonel De Beers? Yes, that's why I have this cigar. Nail said, look at how pretty he is with that cigar. Oh, please. Takakokax X said, whenever somebody talks about how bad Bill Cosby is, I just think about Little Bill, which is one of my favorite childhood shows. Yikes. I mean, it's not bad to think about those shows. If you like those shows, I mean, they existed. You can't deny the history of that stuff. Not that you have to run them and celebrate them again, but they still exist as good shows. Nails in New York said, I want a limerick, and I'm gonna give it to you. Dear Lord. Oh, these are bad. This chapter is Abuses of the Clergy. There was a young lady named Alice who peed in a Catholic chalice. She said, I do this from a great need to piss and not from a sectarian malice. I have no idea what that means. I have no idea what that means at all. Oh, here's organs. Okay. All right, let me see if I can find something good. Okay. A wide-bottomed girl named Trasket had a hole as big as a basket, a spot as a bride. In it now you could hide and include with your luggage your mascot. All right, big opening. We got it. I love books, said Brandon Rennie. Can I see the spine of that book? Can you see it? The Limerick by edited by G. Legman, who's a dirty, dirty person. G. Kingdom said, what's up with that cigar? You're trying to look butch all of a sudden? Yeah, look at, look at what a man I am, Kingdom. Spot Center said, in the 70s, we thought Zoom were overzealous teens, not chill like Electric Company. Now everyone loves Zoom. I just don't get it. Remind me Sunday morning, I will sing you the theme song from PBS's Zoom. It's one of my favorites. Body Slammer said, have you ever thought of using a slice of orange rather than the common lemon slice? Well, this is called a lime Ricki Lake, and this is how she had them because she was colorblind. And she would order it with a lime, and she wouldn't know. They would give her a lemon because they were out of lime. She would show up late after the taping of her shows. Brandon wants to know, is that the Limerick or the new Limerick? That is just the Limerick. There's nothing new about them at all. GC Joni sends a lovely tribute and a little tabby cat. And I'm feeling very purrish. Lava Lamp said, the sexiest man alive is a weird award because how do different people win it every year? Are the winners less sexy? Yes, because age ravages us all, year after year, hour after hour. Which show is better, Franklin or Arthur? Oh, Arthur by a landslide. Like, Franklin was so boring. I also hated Rupert. All those, like, British kid cartoons, like Tintin. Oh, my God, it's exhausting. Paddington. Babar. D said, if you could have a match with any wrestler from the past, who would you choose? Andy Kaufman. Jonathan said, reading those limericks gave me a huge throwback to So I Married an Axe Murderer and the Woman, Woman, Woman poems Mike Myers did. Yeah, it's an unsung, you think it would get more love, that whole movie, but it doesn't. Kingdom said, top 5 70 sitcoms go. Taxi's on the list. Mary Tyler Moore is on the list. Maude. The Jeffersons. Wow, I picked 4, and then that 5th one is just hanging there. I don't quite know. I don't want to say MASH. I really, really, really do not want to say MASH. I'm going to leave that 5th one open to you. Nails New York said, how does he know such obscure facts? Andrew said, come on and Zoom. We're not singing that now. We'll sing it on Sunday. Do I like Doom or do I like Animal Crossing? I like Doom. I have yet to play Animal Crossing, although people have tried to goad me into it. Fraggle Rock or the Snorks? That's a given. It's Fraggle Rock. What about Little Bear? Hated him too. Little Bear and Little Bill can be small and go away. Ty said, well, how did this turn into which is better all of a sudden? I don't know. I guess people aren't that debaucherous. Bob Newhart is surely top 5. Fair enough, Tabby. Fair enough. Sanford and Son, Barney Miller. Welcome back, Cotter. Why aren't you watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Because I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to be one. Do you mind? I'm trying to make a living. I'm trying to buy a Reuben sandwich. Excuse me. Lighting said, what do you do when you have to dookie? On this program, I went much, much, much earlier, and it went well. I don't have a bidet, but I have a little hose, and it works just fine. Wait, you didn't like Tintin? That's quirky. Nails in New York said, with the cigar, I'm expecting the 18. Didn't like that either. Not really a sitcom. My name is Kim said, how do you, of all people, not say Barney Miller? Sometimes I don't even feel like it was a sitcom. Do you know what I'm saying? That it's that middle ground of being a little more grounded than the usual I Dream of Jeannie-ish kind of premise. Best cartoon was the raccoons. Okay. Kevin said, hey, man, thanks for real for the entertainment and interaction during all of this bull crap. I have the time. Who else am I going to talk to? Madeline Kahn? Al Lewis? Yolanda said, damn it, I thought it started at 11. Did I miss anybody saying anything nasty? Yes, Yolanda. A young gal was talking about doing a little finger dance with her boyfriend in the back door, and I encouraged it. But Yolanda, now that you're here, please fill in the void with your own. What about Postman Pat, said Katie. Also remind me Sunday morning I will sing the Postman Pat theme. Have you ever played Bogies with Dick and Dom? No, we just hosted Splat-A-Lot, one episode together. Daniel said, did you watch Man on the Moon? Yes, and I loved it. Nail said, Reuben sandwich or Cobb salad? I got to go Cobb. Yolanda said, in reference to that man with the fingers, a little tickle don't hurt. No, it does not hurt. And, the doctors do it, so it can't be all that bad. Reuben sandwich or crab legs? Which pisses you off more? Crab legs. Crab legs ruined my career. Daniel said, started watching Cheers. Any thoughts? Yeah, it really picks up when BB Newirth gets there. Let me read another one here. This is about excrement. Okay, this is good. There was a young woman named Dottie who said as she sat on her potty, it isn't polite to do this in sight, but then who am I to be snotty? So I guess we're all watching her? Okay. Oral irregularity. Okay, let's give this one a shot. There was a young bounder named Link who possessed a very tart dink. To sweeten it some, he steeped it in rum, and he's driven the ladies to drink. Isn't that adorable? Brandon said, which diverted his interest? Kevin said, who's your favorite Muppet? I'm a Sam the American Eagle guy. I also like New Zealand. And and Crazy Harry's good, but I'm a New Zealand guy. Lightning said, I tried to send you $1,000 to put on your site. It won't take it. What should I do? Send them in increments of $100 10 times over and over. It'll be very easy for us. Kiana said, Cobb salad sounds like a sex position. Honestly, it does because it's hearty and robust and leaves a peculiar aftertaste. You're not quite sure what you're tasting. NPMD sent a lovely orange citrusy tribute, and I'm feeling the citrusy love, and I thank you, and I raise my glass to you. It's very sweet. Yolanda said, what book are you reading from? If you are just joining us, and you are Yolanda, it's called The Limerick, and it's filled with dirty limericks. It has plenty of chapters. This one is on eccentricities, okay? So this is for you, Yolanda. There was a young man from Venice who played a good game of lawn tennis, but the game he liked best, far more than the rest, was played with 2 balls and a penis. Nell said, what on earth is a dink? It's a donk that's been shrunken. Katie said, chant your mantras 10 times over and over. Nails New York said, what mainstream movie has the best sex scene and what movie has the worst? My favorite sex scene when I was a kid, it's not the best one at all. It's just when you're of that age, any kind of sex is just the greatest. It's from The Meaning of Life, Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. And the school teacher is teaching class sex education, and he has sex with his wife in front of the class. And I was blown away. I don't know what to say. It ruined my life. My parents thought this is comedy. It's laughter. So he can see a pair of breasts. Little did they know what a deviant I was. I was like, oh, yeah, this is very funny. This is very funny indeed. What's the worst one? That's a good question. The one from 9.5 Weeks. Mr. Dress Up, thoughts, and what about that tickle trunk? That's a Sunday morning question, Bill. That's definitely, ask me on Sunday morning. I do have a story about it. Nelson York said, what means, we did this already. How many Ricki legs do you get drunk? I'm going to be hydrated. Ty said, I'd be scared to see RJ drunk, to be honest. So would I. I don't drink that much, and for a very good reason. Yolanda said, ooh, we talking about good old penis. And here's another one for you. Ooh, wow, okay. A farmer I know named O'Doul had a long and incredible tool. He can use it to plow or to diddle a cow or just as a cue stick at pool. He used it to play pool. The cow wasn't even the punchline. Yolanda, you're killing me here. Tickle Trunk, she's very excited. Okay, here's a question. Is my favorite sex scene from Howard the Duck? My favorite sex thing is Howard the Duck. Original Sin with Antonio Banderas and Angelina was a good sex scene. Yolanda said, okay, here's something. If Blanche Devereaux taught the art of, what would it be? I would say Southern seduction. There's a way about her that is very specific to perhaps being in Georgia or Kentucky. And those Southern girls seem to know exactly what to do on a hot summer night. The Lazy Apple said, dream match against anyone from the WWE. Elias. He's a nice fella, and I think we could sing together first. Daniel said, 4 TV stars from the 70s in a brawl for all. Maude wins by a landslide. Or maybe Lou Grant. Nelson York said, I feel RJ would be a messy drunk. We'd get secrets spilled, but we'd have to carry him home. That is absolutely for sure. Bill said, so any groupie stories or are those days long gone now? I would say they're just social miscreants. I would not call them groupies. The biggest set of groupies I ever had was the moms whose kids watch Splat-A-Lot. Once it hit, the older women at the gym started looking at me different. And one time, there's like a daycare at the gym I go to, and this woman's like, I'm sorry, could you just come here with me for 1 second? I was like, I went, and behind the glass was a kid, and she went, is this him? And then she went like this, and then the mom started hitting on me. It was very weird, like based on her daughter's recommendation. Yolanda said, ooh, I'm shimmered with the sheer thought. I'm shimmied with the sheer thought. That's what you're calling it. Jonathan said, wasn't Blanche from Louisiana? I say they're all the same, Jonathan. Andrew said, Blanche's other talent was turn of phrase and the side eye. So Karia said, the last limerick reminds me of a story about my mom's neighbor and his mule. I think you're going to need to tell that one. Yolanda said, I'd order that course. Nelson York said, have you ever written a limerick? Yes, I did. My family, yes. It was a family, and their last name was Hunt. So it was very, very easy to rhyme. Nelson York said, I feel like we are the groupies. No, you're more of the patrons, and you all have a seat at this digital Algonquin roundtable. Ashley said, blow your mind as a kid. The movie Total Recall has the 3 boob scene. That's for sure. That's a game changer. Taco Cat said, oh, yeah, I first heard about you through Splat-A-Lot. Isn't that bizarre? Nelson York said, have I ever been injured during sex? Multiple times my nose has bled. I used to have a very dry nose when I was in high school, and yeah, it was not a good scene. And it's really hard to get back on track when you have to clean blood up off the gal, I know people say dinner and a movie, then go make a move, but you should really be doing stuff before dinner. That's all I'm going to say. Lightning said, can we talk about Michael Jackson's Moonwalker remake coming out on April 18th, starring Bruno Mars? Do you work for the studio? Why are you plugging this? You got to come here and plug him? He needs another $1? Go on his live stream and plug my stuff. Bill said, so this question I always wanted to ask. After sex, do you have a slice of cheesecake instead of smoking? I like to have water because at that point I'm usually paranoid about being dehydrated. Gum, mouthwash, baby wipes, the kit, and the caboodle. And then usually I like to have fornication around 6:30 on a Sunday because at 7 o'clock at night, the Lawrence Welk show is on PBS. Yolanda said, what? They better not remake no damn Moonwalker. Yolanda said, this better be lies. I have nothing to do with it. Kiana said, oh, hell no. I will go to war to prevent that remake. Yeah, let's lay off his business. They could remake the Moonwalker video game. Nails New York said, actually, everyone plugged this stream. Well, I'm going to take a little reprieve. I have so many more limericks to get through. Oh, Lord. There was a young man from Maine whose prick was as strong as a cane. It was almost as long, so he strolled with his dong extended in sunshine and rain. Okay, let's see what this was. Okay. There was an old man of Tagore whose tool was a yard long or more. So he wore the damn thing in a surgical sling to keep it from wiping the floor. That's what I'm talking about. That is some of the good stuff. Ty said, Lawrence Welk, are you my grandmother? No, but if she's single, please get her to add me on Instagram. Nails New York said, is he choosing at random or did he vet these limericks before the stream, I wonder? I have not. There's so many and they're really hits and misses. They're not all winners. The ratio isn't horrible, but there's a lot of chapters. This chapter is buggery. I don't know if you can see that too well. Virginity. Okay, let's give this one a shot. A lady of virginal humors would only be screwed through her bloomers. But one fatal day, the bloomers gave way, which fixed her for future consumers. Yolanda said, I'm sorry, I will get back to sweet, sweet perversion. Thank you. Have some dignity and be a deviant. Stokely said, have you ever needed to fart during or after coitus? Absolutely. And you suck it up, you close your eyes, and you pray to the Lord. I believe that's all you can do, unless you're with a certain type of gal. Oh no, Andrew is going to write a limerick about me. Dear Lord, get ready. So Karia said, short story. This is the story about the mule. My mom grew up in Tennessee in the 60s with her grandparents. Her neighbor, Mr. Cecil, was an older single man who had a very small farm with only one mule. I got it, and that is wrong, yet it is so Tennessee. There was a young wrestler from Toronto. Okay, what rhymes with Toronto? Tabby said, I admit I was flabbergasted to find out Lawrence Welk was born and raised in the U.S. and came from an era where people had that accent. It's such a weird accent. He also has a chain of resorts. He's got, I think, maybe 5 to 10 across the U.S., which is pretty crazy to think about. And I think in South Carolina or in California is the Lawrence Welk Museum on one of those resorts. Because he wanted to golf. He liked to golf. So he bought a golf course, and then it started this whole thing. And he would drive his RV up to the first hole. So when he woke up in the morning, he'd just walk outside and golf. Tommy said, what was your 3 picks from the Hollywood Squares you posted on Twitter? So I posted a pick 3 thing. I'll say Diedrich Baker because he kept tweeting me about it, and he's a very nice fella. I don't like Caroline, whatever. I'd say Whoop. I'd take Big Whoop. Oh, my God, and Bruce Valanche. Just give me Bruce and Diedrich, actually. Never mind. So Karia said, one day my mom's grandfather caught Mr. Cecil having intercourse with the mule. These limericks are really just snapshots of daily life, you know? Nails New York said, do you ever drink White Claw? I don't. It's never been gift. I have tried it once. Too hard on the seltzer. It was like too carbonated for me. So, Karia, thank you for that story. I knew where it was headed, but I still wanted to see you get there. Tabby also said, Welk didn't know what toke meant. That's why one toke over the line was actually sung on the Lawrence Welk show. So Karia said he called the police, and they came and took the mule from Mr. Cecil. According to my mom, that mule started crying at being taken away. You know, sometimes, never mind. Thank you, Sakaria, for that wonderful gift. Nails New York said, is there a drink that makes you flirty? Ooh, that's a good question. I like maybe a sangria. No, I like not a Bellini. What do they call it? Oh, Lord. I can't remember the name of them now. They're very summery. Sometimes they have cucumber And mint, my drink of choice is like a vodka water if I have to get something. But normally I don't. It's just not really my bag. I was about to say no Bruce Valanche is a travesty if he wasn't in the top 3. That's fair. Ooh, look, we're getting a limerick about me. Here we go. There was a young wrestler from Toronto who loved to lay down horizontal. Very, very good. Who can finish it? Lightning said, RJ, you have not talked about the Prince Purple Rain remake with Shawn Mendes coming out November 20th. Why are you coming into this thing and you're plugging all these movies with all these loaded people, all these remakes like they need another dime? The guy's sitting on $20 million. Got to remake Purple Rain? Throw me a few. Do you mind Shawn Mendes? Buy a shirt. So Karia said the mule caused such a ruckus that it broke from its confines and went back to Mr. Cecil, and the police let him keep his mule. See, you can have true love after all. Bill said, has there been any interest from PBS about a future show? I don't know. Maybe I got to move to Showcase at this rate, but this program. Mojito. Aaron, yes, I'm thinking of a mojito. Dear Lord, thank you. I like mint. I like a little carbonation. I don't like too much sugar. A mojito is perfect. I like it on a refreshing summer's day. Nels New York said, when this is all over, are you planning on appearing anywhere with the Nobodies? I love them, and I'm planning on going to Lady Barrica's brunch. Nels, I have another episode that I filmed with them in December, in the beginning of December, and they still haven't put it out yet because so much has happened. And that's my favorite one, and I want to see it. I think we even did another podcast, too. But when I go back to New York, when this is all said and done, I will do more stuff with them. But they have to put the other stuff out first. It's just sitting there collecting dust. Nail said, Lightning, you promised him cash, give him cash, and he'll plug your many movies. Thank you. Tabby said, there was a young wrestler from Toronto who liked the Lone Ranger and Tonto. His name was RJ, and that is okay. Now go give him a tip and pronto. Not bad. In terms of a limerick, it's very good, but I need a little more debauchery. Balthazar said, do you believe in aphrodisiacs or is it bullshit? I believe that certain things can be mood killers. I think a plate of nachos would be like an anti-aphrodisiac. You know, some people only have like the good things, like the good medicine, but they don't realize the bad things that they're having that are making them feel worse. Like beer. You know, guy will have like a bunch of beer and then have a couple oysters and think that'll do the trick. Just maybe lay off the beer. Just throwing it out there. So I don't know if I'm a believer in aphrodisiacs. I'm a believer in anti-aphrodisiacs. Delana said, I've been waiting this whole time for that cigar to explode. And then I can do one of these too. Let's read another limerick, shall we? Okay, let's give this a shot. A prim young fellatrix named Prue said, there's one thing a nice girl won't do. You may not touch my rear end, but if my up here end, what? That doesn't even make any sense. Okay, let's try this one. There once was a writer named Twain who had a peculiar stain. Surrounding the head of his prick, it was red, and it was said to wash off in the rain. The joke is it's lipstick. Mark Twain was getting a little... That was the joke there. Nils New York said, come back to New York. I've already married you and Ariel in my head. That would be a great wrestling wedding. I have to ask them to post the videos and podcasts. Please go bother them. They will. Angel said, RJ, you didn't read my limerick. Scroll back a bit. Sorry, fella. There's so much going on here. Now, there was a young wrestler from Toronto. That's all you wrote so far. Just copy and paste it again, man. Yeah, I don't see it at all, fella. Get it together, will you? Kelly said, how are you holding up the whole quarantine? Also, what type of cigar is that? I said it at the beginning of the program, I believe. It is a Fuente, an Alfonso Fuente. How am I holding up? Look at me, and I'll let you figure it out. I'll let you figure out how I'm doing. This is my second live stream of the week. You do the math. Nelson New York said, oh, the Limericks leg kicked in. Indeed, it did. Spot Center said, did you know, Mybel Zilch, why do wrestlers use Y's for I's and Z's for S's? Number one, they're dumb. They're not good spellers. Number two, it makes them more distinct so they can skirt copyright issues. Sue Johansson or Dr. Ruth? Sunday Night Sex Show all the way. I love Ruth, but Sue. Ruth was a little too commercial. She was in with the in crowd. Sue really cared about her work, and you could feel it. And I'd be happy to take up the mantle. This is what we're doing tonight. Bill said, so you are the guy that stays after sex and leaves and go home. I leave. Most of the time I leave before the sex. I still have it. I just leave first. Jonathan said there was a wrestler from Toronto who wants to bed Vicki Lawrence pronto. Now we're getting somewhere. To her he will say, with you I will lay in no other position but horizontal. There we go. There's our limerick. And congratulations to our winner this evening, Jonathan Santos. Please stay on the line. Our operator will give you the details. Nils New York said, Arturo Fuente, whatever. Nils New York said, if a fan wrote a fan fiction about you and another wrestler, who would you like it to be? A Mildred Burke. Am I a bop or a totem? I'm a middle. Andrew said, Sue, love her, and she's still with us. She is? Is she still doing the show? Lightning said, RJ, did you see the commercial remake of the Ricki Lake Show starring Tamron Hall? I'm not, you know what? You said you would, I have $1,000 to give you, and I can't give it. So I was like, give it in smaller increments. And then you started plugging movies. You, sir, are the deviant one. Tabby said, RJ was on YouTube and wore a kimono. It started to slip, and he said, oh no. He drew deep on his stogie and talked like an old fogey and cut a filthy wrestling promo. Well done, Tabby, if I may. Well done, and brava. I'm assuming gender there. Spot Center said, is a middle called the Lucky Pierre? Well, I know Pierre, and he isn't that lucky. All right, we're going to go one more before we go. I think it's important that we do it. Okay, here we go. This is a good one. Oh, Andrew said, I think my limerick may be blocked. Maybe for a word? Oh, no, here it is. There was a young wrestler from Toronto who faked a cigar and wore a kimono. He jested inside when fans would chide, are you straight or are you an H-homo? That's a nice way to rhyme that, and I really respect that, and thank you. So I will leave you with this nice little, sweet little limerick before we go. There is a professor named Martin for whom I'm about to be pardoned. And on my way out, he may hear me shout, it's your face I'd sure like to farten. And with that, thank you for joining me. Should I be back next week? If you want me to, just let me know, and I probably will. Until then, thank you from Al Lewis and Grover and Madeline Kahn and Arturo Fuente and Lime Ricki Lake, David Arquette's kimono, and me. Until then, I will see you after dark.